I think it's a vulnerable side of me. I think if anybody knew about how I felt, they could utilise that. So I keep it a bit like my father. I try to keep it hidden, and it bursts out in poetry.
I still remember through the years all the time with mounting tears.
There's myself, 9 years of age, my brother 7. My father had paid into the police orphanage fund and decided that's where we went. We had neighbours, good neighbours, who would have taken us and looked after us, but he was a very proud man and didn't want neighbours having access to our house, because we'd have had to have had a house key, and he probably thought it would be better for us to be somewhere neutral and away from it. Although on reflection, it might have been better if we'd stayed with the good people that wanted to look after us. But I just saw it as a great adventure, meeting new people, doing things. I was pretending to be some sort of knight, on a horse, a charger, and that was my lance, and it went right through the window, and I always remember. And it was a great big rambling house, and it used to go very dark at night, and it was a bit spooky at night. We used to play ghosts and things like that, and matron used to say, go to sleep, no fighting, nothing, and we'd play games, and we just used to run wild. The orphanage had very large grounds, very big place, and we could build dens, and we used to spend all our spare time when we weren't at school just outside. Quite a few people in the orphanage who had one or two parents around and that they couldn't be with for various reasons. But there were some who were genuine orphans who had no parents. The mother had died and the father had died, and they were there, probably waiting for adoption or something.
Just left with clothes and just your name. How big home seemed at night. The gentle click of billiard balls, the strident note of matron's calls.
She had a lot of mental trouble. It got to the stage where she had to be sectioned and go into a hospital. Could they be looked after at home? No, bang, they went into care, and that's what happened. We were behind a great big 10-foot, 12-foot sandstone wall. We were looked after as best we could be, so it wasn't that bad an experience, just that you weren't with your parents, that's all. If we were really annoying my parents, they'd give me a jam jar of water and a paintbrush and tell me to paint the shed. I used to make model airplanes, and I used to buy them and put them on the wall. I oscillate between incredibly happy and then being a bit depressed. And we all get depressed, we all need to charge our batteries up. It's not unique to me, a feeling of rejection. But possibly I feel it a bit more than most, because I have been rejected. And I've tended to look at negative things as a period of rejection. And maybe I shouldn't take that too seriously. My father was a very private individual, a very proud individual, and saw the orphanage as a solution, and he didn't know how long we were going to be there, because my mother's disease was a bit difficult to sort out, and I think he regretted having to do that, but he never said anything. I just felt he didn't like the idea of it, but that's all he knew was the best thing to do, really. So there you are.
You'll miss your bus, the number 5, and late to school you will arrive.
On the bus from the orphanage to the school, and we had to pass our house, and my father used to stand in the front room and watch us and go through agony as to whether he should open the door and say hello to us or not bother us, because he didn't want to upset us. So he used to go through a kind of his own mental torture. We were oblivious to this because we were just walking down outside. He was a very undemonstrative type of person. He had deep feelings but never expressed them, really. Looking back, I can see this now.
Jealous of friends whose mothers made tea, there wasn't a mother at home for me.
When my mother came to see me and I didn't know who she was, that was my worst experience, and I can replay that in my mind all the time. She turned up with my father to take us home, and I didn't know who she was. She knew who I was, and she was crying and trying to be very friendly and hugging me, and I didn't know who she was. I just thought she was somebody who'd come to visit me.
Months passed, and day by day her face simply faded away. I saw sometimes the man who was my dad. He bought sweets and embarrassed talk to improve our life of mediocrity.
Well, I've found when I've been rejected, either from an interview situation, when I've been for a job, or an emotional situation when I've been involved with somebody, that I find rejection, or I did find rejection, very hard to take. A collection of irons in the kitchen, and that's only out of curiosity. Somebody gave me one and I thought there must be different types of irons, so I started collecting them. So I've got 54 irons of all different types. I suppose that's a collection of things, not from my childhood I know, but just things I've collected, and it's just memories. Your memories go when your brain goes, but they're always there with you, and that's a good thing to have. And if you want to revisit some of them, most of them are nice memories. I don't make a point of punishing myself and revisiting poor memories. I think it's good to remember the good things. The rejection thing, just that happened in that time. I've grown above that now and demonstrated I can cope with it. At least I hope I can cope with it.
I still remember, through the years, all the time with mounting tears.